Welcome to the SMO Podcast. My name is Whitney, and today I'll be asking each guest 7 questions in 7 minutes. Here is the first look of our guest that will be speaking live on our stage. Look below to see what you'll say differently. And here is our next episode. Hello, everyone. My name is Whitney, and I'm here with the SMO Podcast. I'm very happy to have Joseph here as our guest today. Definitely excited to get into his story because it is very, very different. And I think what he brings to the marketplace and how he is serving is just very, very special. And I think you guys are definitely going to want to tune in and listen. So make sure you get your notepad out and take notes. Joseph, I would love to tell everyone, for those that are watching, who are you and what do you do?
Yep. So my name's Joseph Naquin. I recently launched my faith-based coaching program. Um, kind of tying the Bible to actual frameworks that we see here every day from, people who aren't necessarily faith-driven, because I noticed that there was a huge gap in the market whenever I was looking for my own faith-based coach. Um, Typically, I got a lot of, inspiration, inspirational quotes from the Bible verses, and then they would just go into a traditional business coaching. And I felt like I was separating Sunday and Monday too much. So I just saw that there was a huge gap there, and God called me to it. So I haven't looked back since.
That's amazing. And I love how you said like there was a gap between Sunday and Monday, and maybe we were treating it the same. And I think a lot of us maybe at some point can relate to that and realizing that like every day we should be doing, those things, not just on Sundays. So I'd love to know, Joseph, for you, like what led you to take this path seriously?
Whew. Um, if I'm being completely transparent, it was my own pulling away from God that ended up making me so kind of put steel in my heart to make sure I follow this through. Um, because this all happened whenever our only car got repossessed, and I was working as many hours as possible, and nothing positive was coming out of it. So, once I saw the car out of the driveway, it really hit me, having a wife and a kid. Um, so I realized that before time was too late, I need to build something. And, by kind of going through those faith-based coaches, wasn't really getting anywhere. Finally fell upon more secular type coaches, but their frameworks were a lot better, unfortunately. Um, they had a much stronger motive, which I feel is like kind of reverse from what it should be in, considering faith-based. And ever since then, I started sticking so hard to my studies, trying to, get out of that rut. And then I realized I was slowly just inching away from God every single day. And I was like, no, there has to be a better way. And, you know, of course, all glory to God. He put it in my mind to connect those dots. And ever since then, I can't unsee it. And now it's been such a fulfilling mission that I don't want to look back.
Wow. What a beautiful testimony. I mean, I love how you were so vulnerable in sharing that. And I think, your story alone will help serve a lot of people here. I would love to
Hope
know
so.
because I think it will. And I would love to know because I think a lot of people, who have maybe had those moments of like, okay, this is happening. I can't really control this. And, maybe it alter their faith. And I would love to know from you, like, what is some advice that you can give someone that maybe feels stuck right now and they're maybe just feeling like they have nothing else to rely on and don't really know, where to go next or what to look to next.
Mhm. Are we speaking just like spiritually or like business?
Just in general, you can take us either way.
Okay. Um, I mean, I guess for me, obviously, I feel like both kind of coincide so much because, as we walk through life, I think we kind of take advantage of the Bible, of what we truly have in front of us in general. Especially like ever since I started doing this research, I realized how much of I don't even want to talk numbers, but I've spent quite a few thousand on self-improvement books, frameworks, things of that nature, courses, etc. And lo and behold, every time I go back and like, I have a framework from a document or no my notes, I go back and eventually I stumble upon that same exact framework or something extremely similar within the Bible. And I think we don't take the Bible serious enough in terms of it is a guide for life in all forms of the word, especially whenever you think about, you know, the heartache. There's tons of heartache, there's tons of tears in the Bible. There's plenty of business owners in the Bible. And I think us only looking at the Bible on Sundays, especially for those people, because I was one of them at one point, we do it such a huge injustice. And not only us, but everybody around us, because
Mm,
we could also be serving. If our cup is consistently empty, then we can't allow the overflow to bless those around us. And
mm.
that's kind of why um, sorry, that's kind of why this is so important to me, is
Yeah,
because I want to be able to have that overflow and help and bless those around me.
that was beautifully said. That was so good. I don't know if you guys caught that, but definitely make sure you're taking notes because Joseph's just dropping gems right now. I absolutely love this conversation. And I think, for someone that was just able to kind of take, regular books and now allow people to realize like, hey, this is a lot like the Bible. And this is how you can actually see it from a different perspective. And this is why, it doesn't have to be such a burden, but you can actually utilize this for your own benefit and not just for your benefit, but to serve other people is such a gift that you have and that you're sharing with everyone. And I think that is so important. I would love to know, like, was there a mindset shift that you think that changed everything for you that you had to, you know, that you had at some point?
Whew. Um, Big time. Yes. So I was probably, I think I got saved around 2021. Um, but of course, I didn't really take my faith serious. My girlfriend at the time, she didn't like neither her or her parents really took it serious, so I kind of took it as, a Sunday thing. Unfortunately. So time progressed, end up finding my wife. We ended up having my daughter. And I didn't have the best life. It wasn't, super tragic or anything, but still, it was a life that I wasn't very proud of. It wasn't very peaceful. And having my daughter, uh, it really changed something in me, I can definitely say that was a godsend that I have a daughter instead of a son, because I probably would have been more like, toughen up, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know, man. Having a daughter really made me strive for greatness because I didn't want her to live that same type of life that I had. Like, even I didn't want it to even be a remote reflection of it in any kind of way. And that required a lot out of me. So at the time, uh, I I was in such a daze for the first month having
Yeah.
her. Like, I was in complete disbelief. I was so focused on, the long nights and blah blah blah. And then it all hit me. I was like, I'm not gonna let her live that life. I will do
Mm.
better. I'm going to do better. God saved me and lift a huge weight off my chest. That's where I'm going back to. And
Wow.
I think a free piece of marketing advice, I guess, that's exactly why the Bible was so far spread. none of the ugliness was hidden. It was encapsulated in the beauty of the end of the story in, some way, shape, or form. And by not hiding that, you show how true it really is. Because only most often, should I say, people who tend to lie, or if it's a made up story, they always try to take out the hard bits. But the moment that you actually accept those and learn from those lessons, you see just how beautiful and true it can really be.
That's so good. That's so good. And I think, one of the things that I love that you said and that I can truly see, and I think everyone that's watching, I can see it too, is a dad's first love is oftentimes his daughter, and I think, for you, that was the case just by how you talk about your daughter and obviously, just taking your faith seriously to allow her to have a better life. It's just very, I think, inspiring to a lot of people because sometimes it is that, is that gift that
Right.
gives us that allows us to now open our eyes spiritually. I would love to know, like, was this a moment that kind of like instantly shifted, or was this like kind of an ongoing practice?
Ooh, no. Directly out of the Bible, die every day. That was the biggest thing. It took a lot. Um, Obviously there was a lot of resistance. Because well, I mean, not to get graphic, I guess, but you know, dying wouldn't feel good. And whether that is philosophical or a literal death, either which one, it's gonna hurt. It's not gonna feel good. But it's to be able to push through that pain and be born anew again or to be reborn. And every single time you do, I guess for the workout fans, um, every time you tear your muscles to make it stronger, they have to rip and get repaired before they become stronger. And it's the exact same thing for our souls, really, because you have to take those bruises, take those lumps and tears, and then the next day you're stronger. Every time you repair, you're stronger. So the more stuff you get through in a day, the better you'll become on the other side. And it's eventually you can be that guiding light for somebody else who's already been through that. And that's honestly what I'm hoping I can do here.
Absolutely. Take us through a little bit of like your work and how you're helping people, become transformed. What is that transformation that you're getting to people? I feel like within your work and, with your testimony and everything that it's brought you here today to be able to serve, I feel like there's a lot here. And again, you bring something totally different to the marketplace. I'd love to know for those that are watching, that are learning, and that want to dive a little bit deeper, like what is one transformation that you're getting them and and what does that look like?
Yeah. So like I said, it's still in the baby phase because we're still growing. But as of right now, my core focus is the actual base of the business and finding filling those holes or those gaps that they already have within their business. I'm taking it from a marketing standpoint, and the reason behind that is what happened during 2020 and 2021. Um, Being, in Louisiana, it used to be a small town whenever I was younger. It started to grow and we started seeing a lot of businesses pop up. But, you know, between that 1 year stint, a lot of business owners couldn't stay open. And a lot of it had to do with marketing. So I wanted to focus strictly on marketing and serve all of my people that are around me and let my cup overflow to be able to help those businesses and grow. So people who are looking for alternatives instead of big box stores and, everything else is going on crazy in the media, be able to serve those little stores and those homegrown people and give them the love that they deserve.
That's so good. A lot of your work, I feel like, is allowing people to really be seen and to be
Mm.
heard. And so I would love to ask you, like, what does that mean to you personally? What does it mean to allow people to be heard and seen?
I think I kind of go back to the ugly truth. I think not enough people are comfortable admitting their faults and showing their own map of what it took for them to get through it. And I feel like from a Christian perspective, too many people try to dress up their own life, whether that be Instagram or in person.
Mm,
And I feel like we need to be more forward facing with what we've been through. And
mm.
that'll help more people, one, become saved, and two, help others who are been through similar situations.
That's so true. My prophetess at church says too, like when people come up and they're giving their testimonies, like we don't want to hear about how you got the million dollar home or your whole life changed around. Like can't relate. We want to know how you went from being broke in, and in the pit, and then you went to the palace. We want to know the whole story from being broken to now, rising up. But some people make the testimony just seem like it's this easy way through and it's not.
Right.
But I love how you mentioned that. I think
That's,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say it's kind of funny that you brought that up because that's actually part of one of my series is From the Pit to the Palace.
Oh, I love that.
And I kind of framed Joseph around it, and I took the seasons, the actual seasons, and applied it to the parts of where Joseph was in one of my courses. So,
That's so
yeah.
good. That's good. For everyone that is watching, that is tuning in right now, just so let us know how we can connect with you, how we can dive deeper, and how we can learn from this. Because I feel like this is definitely something that people need to know more about and they need to educate themselves on. So tell us, how do we connect with you?
Yeah, so on Instagram it is J Naquin. That's Naquin, and then it's underscore LA dot coaching. And I actually have it's an app called WAP, and it's in my bio. And the landing page will send you to my actual courses, and they're all free courses. I do intend on doing more hyper in-depth courses that will be also workbooks. That way they can actually have something they can work alongside and get a little bit more in depth with. And eventually there will be videos with it as well.
This is so helpful. Guys, one of the things that I love so much about Joseph is that I haven't heard anyone else that is doing what he's doing. This is the first time that I'm hearing this, and this is so unique. It is so valuable, and it'll allow you to really develop as a person, as an entrepreneur, and as somebody that is maybe lukewarm, or maybe they're finding their faith, or maybe they're even in their faith, but they're trying to get back to where they once were. Make sure you connect with Joseph. Make sure you pick his brain because I feel like there's so much wisdom here and a lot to learn, through the gifts that God has given you. Thank you so much for being here, Joseph. Thank you for allowing, yourself to just pour into us. And I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you on one of our stages.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure being here and can't wait.
Absolutely. Thank you.